Hey there, I'm Jefferson, and I'm your Dungeon Master. Thank you for joining us on our podcasting journey. Due to some technical difficulties, the first few episodes may be a little quiet and hard to hear. Don't worry, we fixed it by episode 5, where we'll have a complete recap of the first 4 episodes. Feel free to skip ahead, but if not, please enjoy this episode of PG-DND. Welcome back to the PG-DND podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to PG-DND. I'm your host, Jefferson Beatty, and I'm joined by...
Zane Caraway. I play Theseus.
Matheson Beatty. I play Delphus the Great.
Tyson. I play Alandros.
Shay, I play Thalassa.
And I'm Connor. I'm playing Vedius.
All right, last week, you guys started your heroic journey on a mysterious ship attacking a city. You found yourselves directed by a Leonin, informing you of the weakness of this city so that you could therefore take it. You guys wandered through the underground drainage system, which proved to be difficult when directions didn't appear as perfectly as you guys had wanted, emerging into the city inside its walls through a fountain. At that fountain you saw 4 mysterious statues of the same person, all blindfolded except for one. You made your way to your assignment, which was the city gate, and discovered a number of troops there guarding it, as well as a bell. You did not have the element of surprise when you were discovered hatching a plan. You attacked very quickly and abruptly, and early on, Vedius accidentally rung the bell, calling in reinforcements. Though you were able to quickly dispatch the soldiers there and open the gate, signaling the rest of the army to attack and enter, leaving only one guard to flee for his life after a very successful round of fighting he had against some of the party. And that is exactly where we left off. As you see this massive army charge through the gates, like water pouring out of a overflowing cistern, you see Theseus and Adelphos, your commanding officer, Faustus, run up to you with his ragtag group of soldiers. And he says, "They need help up at the temple. Come on."
Okay.
Do we all hear this?
Yeah, I mean, you are all in proximity, and he kind of gestures to all of you.
I'm hurting, boss.
I'm not doing so well.
There's no time for not doing so well. The city's almost taken. Push as far as you can. Let's go. And he starts running.
No arguing. Let's go.
I raise my spear. For glory! And
Okay.
For honor.
And you guys follow. Vedius rounded at the rear, very injured. You guys charge deeper into the city, and as the buildings go from large metropolitan public buildings to smaller private housing, you see the army ignoring most of the residential areas, trying to avoid as much unnecessary death as possible. At the top of a small hill within the city, you see a temple with fierce, intense fighting happening around it. You can see on the steps of the temple a small band of Leonin troops, who you can only assume is led by the man that sent you on this mission. By the time you get up there, it takes several minutes winding through unfamiliar streets as clashes happen within the walls. By the time you make it to the temple steps, they are empty, save the dead soldiers who lay defeated. The columns of the temple rise large above you, barely lit by dim torchlight within its walls. You do not recognize the patron of this temple, other than the statue near the top, where the roof connects in the point, is that of the woman you saw in the fountain, a blindfolded woman with long hair, holding a set of scales.
Seems like there's no one here.
Oh, you made me run all the way up here.
Faustus looks to you and he says, "I will take my men and go around the back. you see if there's any that are trying to hold out here. Remember, we take the city, not only is victory ours, but splendid wealth and treasure. And he looks to Adelphos and to you, Theseus, and he says, for victory.
For victory.
For victory.
For honor.
For honor.
For honor.
For Iroas.
For Iroas.
And then
Follow them.
he runs away, a small troop following behind him. You please put your pieces onto the board.
Can I make a perception check on the statue can I look at the scales and see if I have any idea of what type of scales they are?
Yeah, I mean, so that would be an investigation check.
16.
Sweet. You broke the curse.
Feels good.
So,
Feels really good.
these scales look typical of a scale a merchant might use to weigh out product.
Okay, I was thinking like scales of a dragon. Okay.
Oh,
I was
okay.
thinking.
Got you.
Yeah, sorry. There,
Hold
she,
them
yeah,
out like kind
she's
of like
holding out two scales, which are like the scales of justice almost.
Gotcha.
In fact, you can actually put this woman looks a lot like the woman of justice that you see in all courthouses
Gotcha.
always.
Okay.
Or
blindfold with the
Metallica albums.
That,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Or Metallica albums, correct. You would also know that like in Neolantis, a lot of their voting is done by placing stones on scales. So like if they're choosing between two ideas or two people or a law or something, there will be a scale with a for category and against category. And the way you cast your vote is by placing a stone on that side, and it will dip down. Whichever one's lower is what passes.
No wonder corruption is probably so awry. I feel like that would be easily
Just have a big
easily
old
rigged.
stone.
just get one that's like
This is
really
totally
baked
not
in.
gold.
Well, no, they provide the stones. You don't put your own stones in. You know what I mean? Like there's a basket full of stones that people walk up, pick up, and put them in. So roughly the same weight. Okay, so politicking aside, it appears to be dark inside the actual temple itself, and this looks a lot like the Parthenon, which there's tall columns, and even columns. I don't have enough to put on the board, but columns as you go inside the temple.
This place is amazing. The architecture is spectacular.
So you actually, Alondros, received a piety point because you worship the goddess of cities, which would include buildings and architectures, and taking, even in this moment of war, to appreciate what cities can do, you get piety. Now, for your listeners, piety works as basically just a bonus to your character. The higher piety score you have with your chosen patron god, the better benefits you get. But if you choose to switch worshipping between gods in the middle of the campaign, players lose all of their piety points, which will be awarded to them, and they start over, essentially. You can also lose piety depending on your choices as well. And so I will say to you, Theseus, continuing the fight on top of the wall, even though you were giving him out, you will also receive one piety point. Nice.
Yes, it is quite remarkable.
I mean, the artistry of these people is very, very fascinating.
You say this as you just see it's backlit by just fires in the city and the sound of clanking against metal.
War in the background.
You
Wow,
realize,
this place
yeah, you
is
snap
great.
into
Stepping
realization.
over bodies.
Yeah.
No, you
sorry,
snap into
man.
the realization that you guys are in the middle of the battle. So,
Yeah.
what do you guys do next?
You said it's pretty dark.
Yeah,
Actually, I have dark vision. Never mind.
There are torches, though.
there are some torches on the exterior of the building, not so much on the interior.
Could I maybe use one to just light a little lantern that I have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
See light lantern?
Hello. Is anybody in here?
The sound doesn't echo, but you can tell your voice carries through, and it's almost as if the deep recesses of the temple suck the sound out of the air.
Are we still with the general guy?
No, he took the rest of the troops and ran around to the back.
Okay, so it's just us.
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially gave you make sure nobody leaves here, check it out, make sure no troops are hiding.
Do any of you know what we're doing here? Like, not here in this temple, but here in this city. Yeah.
I have a very good understanding of why. I mean, I know that these people declare their independence, but who am I to say?
So we're here to take their independence then. Is that what you're saying?
From the looks of it, but if there's treasure in it, then Who am I to say no?
True.
Prove our worth, maybe. Prove our freedom. Our justice.
I mean, both of you look like great warriors. Do you have any reason to be here, or any more foreknowledge than us? Gesturing you two, obviously.
At Theseus.
Yeah, Theseus and
Adelphos.
We're obviously large.
I had no choice.
Well, we all have choice, sir.
Not all of us.
Why are you here? You are not the fighting sort.
Well, I needed the money, much like you appear to be, so to keep it short and simple, I needed the money.
And just then, you see somebody stumble out of the temple, and their clothes are stained with blood. You can tell that they are wounded, and it appears they stumble out. They don't appear to be armed, though. You have to help me. He collapses in. Who's in the very middle?
I am.
Your arms, Theseus.
Does he look like a priest? Does he look...
Roll perception check.
Can we also roll to see like if he's like one of ours or
Correct. Yeah, you can do one as well.
I'm 18.
Okay. You can tell very clearly, Vidius, that he is a priest by the way that the garments that he's wearing. You can tell they're more ceremonial than they are traditional, and he's definitely not wearing any armor or weapons. It's hard to tell Theseus, but you can assume because he's wearing civilian clothes and no armor that he is not a part of this attacking army, because everyone in the army is wearing armor and carries weapons. This guy has nothing. And you can assume that he also, there's no reason why someone would take these weapons and armor away from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
by that, you can deduce that he's a member of Neolantis.
So I run over to him, and can I just do like a quick medicine check to see how stable he is? Like, is this guy gonna like die on us, or is he gonna, oh boy, and that one plus one.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because his clothing is covering any obvious wounds, and because the clothing is so stained, it's hard to determine where he was wounded or how severely. But there is a lot of blood. And breathlessly, he says, "Please, the Leonin. He'll kill all of them. He'll kill all the priests. Help me, please. We didn't put up a fight. We even directed." And he coughs, and blood starts to trickle down from his mouth. He says, "We even pointed him where our treasures were. He didn't care."
So I put my hand on his chest, and I'm going to say, "Return back to thee what once was yours." And I cast Healing Word on him.
Perfect. With that, you see his breathing begins to normalize, and his intensity. You see a calm goes over him. He's not completely healed, but he will not die.
Yeah.
You essentially spared him from dying.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, and so he stands up on his own and says, "Please, they'll all be killed." And then he looks around as if he's going to go get help elsewhere as well.
Can I grapple him?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
I'm going
too
to.
hot.
Yeah, so he's weak. You're able to like grab onto his wrist before he leaves. He goes, "What are you doing?"
I can't let you leave.
"What? Why not? We need help. Innocent people are being killed."
They'll kill you if you leave.
"Who's they?"
We'll probably kill him if he stays.
What a conundrum. What do we do now?
Personally, I'm not interested in
He says-
slaughtering innocent people.
He said, "I know you're here attacking my city. I was in my house when the alarm bells first went off. I came outside and there were fires and centaurs running, and the centaurs, they could have killed me, but it was as if they recognized I wasn't a threat and they passed me by."
Well, what is this temple that we are at? You appear to be a priest of some kind.
"Yes." And then, right when he says that, you hear a scream come from the inside the temple. And he says, "Please, please, there are not many of us left, please. It's innocent men and women.
I grab Theseus' shoulder and
We
I
have
whisper,
no way of defending ourselves."
and I whisper in his ear, "Let him go, brother.
I
Our fight
cannot
is elsewhere."
stand by while innocents are getting killed.
I agree.
Let's go then.
I like it.
And he looks at you, and you can tell just by looking in his eye that he is so grateful that you did that, and he understands on some degree that it was difficult for you, judging by the way that you are dressed. You can tell that you're crowing, and that would be hard. And he kind of gives you a nod, and he says, may Clothes bless it. All of the priests aren't killed tonight. And he runs away. You guys run to the temple?
Yes.
Yes. As close as we can to the direction of the screen.
It's not hard to deduce, just look at the temple. This temple is familiar to you guys in the sense that most temples worshipping the regular pantheon are set up similarly. Large pillared buildings with different shrines and places of worship throughout, honoring most all the gods, with the main god at the center of the temple in focus. And as the guys push closer, you begin to hear a conversation happening. Are you guys moving stealthily, or are you guys moving not stealthily?
I am definitely moving stealthily. Even if it means I fall behind.
Okay. I think everybody's going to move stealthily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stealth.
25.
Okay.
What'd you roll?
19.
Goodness.
I'm on fire
Plus
tonight.
6, huh?
What?
11.
11? What'd you roll? What'd you roll?
6.
Okay, what'd you roll?
17.
Theseus? What did you roll? 5. Okay. Fortunately, 3 of the 5 of you passed, so you will approach stealthily. Yes. And as you guys approach, you can see more clearly Thalassa and Vidius because of your dark vision as Tritons. You, Theseus, Aldelphos, and Alondros can also see decently okay. There seems to be one torch on the ground that is burning, and what you see is a bit frightening. You see several Leonin standing over the bodies of what appear to be several priests, and then you see the head Leonin, the lion that was on the ship with you, standing above a very injured woman on it, and they appear to be having a conversation. You can't pick up much of it, bits and pieces, but you, Thalassa, will be able to tell most of what's being said. It appears that the Leonin's back is to you. He's speaking over the line. And she looks very scared. She says that to him, you know what will happen if she's forgotten, right? You know it, standing over. Do you know what will happen if she's remembered? What might be avoided? And she looks concerned, and she says, yes, that end is far less terrifying than if she is lost. She says, even you, Leonin, who don't revere the gods, should know what will happen to a woman. He looks down at her and says, Leonin, yeah, only who's who care for one another. The gods may be powerful, they only care for themselves. This is the only way. And you see a tear come on her face. And he, standing over there, says, I am sorry. And strikes again.
Move next to Vidius.
Yes. If you want to be, you can be.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And then who else made it stealthily?
Everybody.
It was a group.
Because it was a group check, most of you passed, so most of you made it.
The woman that he just slaughtered is fearful for some woman, and he does not care about it.
And you can see that this was at the foot of the large statue, again, in the same image of the statue leading into the temple. And you see he gives a small roar, and the other Leonin begin to place small weapons around the priests and priestesses, and then they toss ropes around the statue and pull the statue down. And just...
They're defenseless.
They were, yeah. And then they staged it as they defended themselves.
And so, and just at that moment, first off, what do you guys do? And this is all happening in this moment. Like, they're beginning to pull the statue down. Others are placing weapons.
I don't feel very confident.
How many are there?
There is the head Leonin, and then from what you can tell, they're moving around a lot, and there might be others in the back, 10, 12 maybe, but you know that Leonin are fierce warriors, and that these Leon in particular, if they're running with the leader, have to be pretty good at fighting. And just then, as you guys sort of watch on as this scene is playing out, you see Faustus run into that same space with his men. He says, Apto, what happened here? And Leon says, well, they lured us in, saying that they were unarmed and would lead us to their spoils. They tried to ambush us, so we defended ourselves. You see Faustus walk around and kind of look, and he gives a look at Apto, who you guys now know as the leader of the Leonin, narrows his one eye, and then says, very well, the city is almost secured. The leaders of various armies will be in the city shortly. Take what you can, and we will divide our treasure at the end. You see Apto nods. And Faustus begins to run out the temple past you guys. And he does run past it, and he obviously sees you guys as he runs. He says, oh, there you are. Well, it seems you missed a pretty intense battle. Is there anything that happened? Anything on your end? Any soldiers try to escape?
No. No soldiers.
Someone else then?
We didn't see anybody by the time we got here. I looked to you two, Theros and Adelphos.
There was a priest.
Did you try to attack him?
No.
He said the opposite.
Well, he must have just fled in fear, that coward. We'll see you in the main hall. The feasting will begin soon. And don't worry, I will tell all who need to know about your feat in taking the gate tonight. From what I understand, it was only you five that took it, right?
Yes.
Well, he slaps you on the shoulder, Theseus,
I kind of put my arm, slap him on the shoulder as well.
and he says, maybe this will be the chance you're looking for, brother. And he pats you again and runs away.
That's before he runs away. I'm going to ask him.
Okay.
Faustus,
Yes.
do you trust?
You see, he looks over your shoulder as you hear a loud crash, which you can assume is the statue coming down, and a cheer of voices going up. And he kind of grabs you all and pulls you a few steps further away. He says, now listen, I do not have very high of a rank in Apros. Theseus can attest to that. But I have heard some higher than me talking. And amazingly enough, it wasn't Neolantis that petitioned all of us to come here. It was the Leonins.
Well, I guess I'll be the one to tell you that none of those people were armed.
They staged it.
He looks shocked. He says, are you sure?
We watched it.
All five of us saw it.
Absolutely. There's too many to take down.
It didn't seem like a fight we could have won, though.
There was a woman begging for her life.
He curses under his breath, and he says, everyone who had people under their command were given explicit orders not to attack unarmed civilians, priests, even soldiers who threw their weapons down. We were to give quarter. That this was only to lessen their military strength and bring them back into the Neolantis fold.
It appears that the Leonin had their own plans, agenda.
Appears so. Tell this to no one. I'll see what I can find out and if anything can be done about it. However, the battle is nearly won, and unfortunately, now comes the politics. And that, I'm afraid, I'm no good at.
Something tells me Theros will be leaning in for those souls.
You do the mark, running 2 fingers across your face and hitting your chest, and he says, I agree. Victory, even in death. And he looks at Theseus and Adelphos, which is a common thing to say in the Aquilon army because, they worship Theros. And then he leans in to you, Theseus, and he whispers in your ear.
Ooh, the first whisper.
Yes.
And then he gives a nod, a reassuring nod to Theseus, slaps him on the shoulder again, gives him a quick hug, and then runs off.
Friends?
I mean, and he's also your commander, Adelphos, and this is sort of the first time you've seen him act this way in front of any of his soldiers, and even in front of Theseus. I think we established before that you guys serve the same unit, but not necessarily the same squad or group.
Yeah.
But he is directly over your company, essentially. And with that, the sun has now broken the horizon and is low in the sky. And as light covers the city, you see smoke where fires were, it blanketing the beautiful blue-topped roofs and pillared architecture of the city. You look down from this spot on the hill and you also see numbers of troops wearing armor with the colors of the city, without weapons, being marched, probably somewhere to be held until negotiations are made. The city is taken. Congratulations.
Did he happen to mention to any of you where we go to get our treasure?
Or our food?
We'll take a bath, for that matter. We just walked through a sewer, and I feel disgusting.
As
not the military type.
as you guys look over the city, you see Leonin come out of the temple. They bear moderate treasure, and you see Apto says, well, it seems you are more of Faustus's group, are you not?
Yes, we were the five that took the gate.
Ho, 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 he roars.
You sent us off.
You should remember us.
Listen, when you command as many soldiers as I do, sometimes it is hard. And no offense to you, but you were chosen because we thought you were going to be defeated, but would weaken them enough for others to take the gate. I left more spoils in the temple for Faustus and his men to keep, seeing as they are a slave regiment. But I suppose if you would like to take them, it is all deserving for the ones who took the city.
Oh.
He says, glory be upon you all. And he kind of slaps all of you guys on the shoulders. And about halfway down the steps, he turns around and looks up. It was a good thing, what we did today. It has a greater impact on this world than you may think.
Just don't get a swelled head.
No, it was not me who took the city. That was all you. But, and he looks at all of you and says, heroes lead dangerous lives. He kind of squints his eyes and he says, so be careful out there. Huh? And he continues down with his troop.
Can we do a quick insight check on maliciousness behind the voice?
Yeah, you can.
Although I can assume
That's a good idea.
the outcome. It's a 10.
It's almost 20.
Yes. You can tell it. I mean,
I can kind of assume it was. Yeah.
He likely knows something. You don't know what that is, though. Yeah. So you guys would know that at this point, and when I say you guys, sorry, Theseus and Adelphos, you guys know you have been in limited battles, but typically the tradition is after you take the city, spoils are to be given to the victors, wherever they can find, collected, and basically distributed evenly, depending on what contribution was made during the fight.
Are we still there? We haven't left the temple.
No, we have the temple.
Can I go around and see if there's like a long sword somewhere?
Yeah.
That I could pick up?
Yeah, you can search the temple.
Yeah, I was going to ask if I could find a long sword as well.
Okay.
Can I follow the guys walking with handfuls of treasure? Can I follow that line wherever they're coming from?
Yeah.
Absolutely. While these guys go look for swords, I'm going to go follow the treasure line.
I'm going to go with the Landros.
Okay. You guys are just doing a general search of the temple.
When we get to the room, like, is there a room where a lot of the treasure is?
Treasure room.
Yes, it would be beneath the temple, kind of near the back.
Okay.
Roll, and for the ones looking for weapons, roll investigations checks separately.
I would like to search that room for any hidden compartments.
Okay.
That they may have.
And roll another investigation check. Near the back of the temple, there is a set of stairs that leads downwards underneath the temple itself. Hewn out of the rock, it is a bit cooler and damp down here, and there are torches lit, as it appears this is where a lot of the priests stay. Customary to the beliefs of Theros, worship happens in the temple around the clock. And there is a place for priest quarters, there is sort of a library, and then near where the priest quarters and library is, there is treasure, which is essentially offerings that people make to this god to earn favor for them. And what the priests do is they keep that treasure in the temple in the belief that the god will come and take what treasure they want, essentially,
It's like Theros
when they need it.
best way, kind of.
But they also use it to upkeep the temple and things like that.
Dirty 20.
There is not anything secret
Okay.
in the treasure room. The treasure room is kind of hidden, but it's obviously been opened.
Okay.
What did Theseus? What did you roll on your
I
investigation?
got a 15.
What did you roll on your investigation?
Investigation, 11.
Unfortunately, neither of you guys find longswords. The weapons that are here are mostly small token weapons, ones that were placed on the priests' bodies by the Leonin.
Anything of interest?
I mean, you guys are able to carry pretty much all the treasure. What do you mean, anything of interest?
I don't know.
They have a map of the city.
That would be in the library. Do you want to check the library?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I want to check every book for secret passages.
Okay, roll. You go down to the library, and you see nothing but a smoldering heap of dark ashes. Recently burned.
Books or the people?
The books, not the people. There are no people in the library. All of the scrolls, any paper, anything that was in the library has been burned recently.
Let's go back out, and I walk up to Theseus. What does he mean, slave regiment? You're not a slave. I'm not a slave. Well, I don't think I'm a slave. I think I'm free.
I don't know. Don't give it too much thought.
How come we couldn't say Victor Regiment? Warrior Regiment.
Why does it mean so much to you? As I'm shoving my bag full of things, why does it mean so much to you?
I just had a rough childhood.
So do many that join the army.
So, you guys collect the treasure as much as you're able to carry, which is a lot of it, and you guys make your way down to the main staging area. It's about midday now, and you can see festivities have actually started. These aren't just for the victor army. You actually see some civilians celebrating with the occupying army there. You see children riding on the backs of centaurs. You see satyrs in the streets playing music and games and putting on shows for the population, where you also see soldiers from Neolantis essentially being checked and recorded and being released from captivity. And near the center, kind of by where the fountain was, you see there are many tents that are being put up, each one bearing different symbols. One tent that is being put up, you see, is white, red, and gold, which you know is the Acroan tent. You see one that is blue, silver, and white, which you know is the Meletian leader's tent, probably housing its council members. You see a tent that is looks almost more like stables. You can tell that those are the centaurs. And then you see a yellow, purple, and green tent, which you guys can assume is the Setessan people's tent. The satyrs do not put up a tent. They are just kind of roaming between all of them. And you can sort of see everybody's collective army gathering around those areas. And the soldiers in those armies are mingling and talking amongst one another. And then you see in more huts rather than tents, small huts, you can see the Leonins as well making that. And they are by far the least large army. And actually in the center where the fountain was, you guys see they're stacking the treasure. A large mound full of many objects, gold pieces, crowns, diamonds, jewels, and even appears armors and weapons are being tossed on a large pile. The splendors of the victory. You guys go and toss your gold. It's about midday.
As we're walking, I want to hop up next to Theseus. So, you and Faustus pretty close. You seem to get along very well.
In childhood, we were friends.
So you grew up together.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
We grew up in Akros.
And what was that like?
usual as most, I guess.
I scoff and roll my eyes as I hear him say that.
Not a fan of Acros.
No.
So you were childhood friends and just grew apart?
Per se. He got rank, and I did not.
And just then, you actually see Faustus looking around as if looking for you guys.
Can he be trusted?
Yes.
He goes, there you are. Follow me.
You got it. Follow him.
He winds behind some buildings where there are very few people, much less. There's not, almost in an alleyway, nearer to the walls. And he says, Theseus, I'm sorry. I spoke to my superior about what your small party witnessed, and we were instructed not to investigate any further.
Is Abdu like the leader of their military?
Yeah, Apto, he is the speaker for the Leonin tribes. Only two really listen to him. The Sun Guides and Swift Claws. It's the Iron Manes that mostly keep to themselves. There are a couple here, but as a whole, that tribe doesn't follow their speaker.
Can you sit back and watch this?
Watch what? I did not see anything.
We were the only ones that saw it, and that's the problem.
Aptos assured my superior that there was a misunderstanding, that perhaps you confused his troop taking away the weapons from those bodies with putting them down. I mean, you had been fighting all night. Whatever his excuse was, that's what we're listening to.
Do you think that he's maybe in league with the Leonin?
I mean, honestly, do you believe that story? That we saw them taking the weapons instead of throwing them down?
He looks at you.
Off
and
the record.
says, is it true? Did they plant the weapons?
On my life.
I believe it. Unfortunately, the way politics are standing now, there is not much we can do other than keep this close to our chests and watch for anything else that may be troubling. He looks at you, Theseus, and you, Adelphos, and he says, King Annex was here, which you guys know as the king of Acros. He is an older man, well into his 70s, but spry and likes to fight with his armies. He says, but him and his guards have not returned yet. We're fearing the worst, so be prepared for that. May Eros bless you return safely. There will be a feast tonight, held near the tents. You are expected to be there, as you will be honored as the victors of the city.
Is there a place maybe that I can clean myself?
There are bathhouses. A lot of our troops are going there now. You could take a bath for free.
Right.
Wonderful. Why don't you all go? Why don't you all go? Rest a bit. You'll be well rewarded tonight. You deserve it.
Gladly. I'm going to go with the Landros to this bathhouse.
I'm going to go to the bathhouse.
I look at Adelphos and like, you can tell whose first sewer it was. Who's had their first sewer experience.
You guys find your way to the bathhouse. It's not that difficult to find, as it is a large building, one of the largest in the city. And you see many troops from all different backgrounds there, waiting to get in. And as you approach, someone actually notices your small band, pats the guy on his shoulder, next to him on the shoulder, points in your direction, and he shouts, "Everyone! It was the ones that opened the gate! Huzzah!" And you hear a roar come from the bathhouse, and those around it, "Huzzah!" And they kind of praise you as you go in. They shake your hand, and they pat you on the shoulder, and they say, "Well done, congrats, the city is yours. The city is yours."
I tried to just stay small and, let them have the attention.
I revel in this.
The city is yours.
I go
think
around.
it's great too.
Yeah.
I'm greeting everyone.
And you hear people, "Oh, is that Adelphos the Great? We watched him fight. We watched him fight in the games." And you see a lot of people flock to you, Adelphos, and they actually lead you in. And there are some that give you a bath, essentially. They don't physically give you the bath, but they get out of their small private bathhouse and said, "Please, no, the victors of the city."
Thank you for running the city. Let me give you a bath.
You see that they leave, collect their things, and you all are now alone.
I go into my bag and I pull out my personal bar of soap.
I
have a bar of
He
soap.
bought one before. He
I bought
bought
one
one
just
as
for
he
this.
rolled up his character.
love your character so much.
And I go in and clean myself and clean wash my clothes and everything.
Would I have all my personal effects like in a bag with me, or is that stowed somewhere else?
It would
Whatever
likely
you-
be stowed somewhere else because you knew we were going to battle.
Okay.
The only exception I have is for Alondros because he's never ever fought in a battle before or ever fought anybody.
Yeah.
And so I would assume that your character literally would be like, pack everything.
Yeah,
Because he's
yeah.
like, I don't know what I'm going to do for a battle.
I literally just bought
Yeah.
everything because I have no idea what's going
Yeah.
on, and I
He has a huge full
Makes
pack.
just
There's
big
a
old
tent
backpack.
there, like there's everything. Like you like the soldiers who came in, like obviously they had gear and stuff. But
Yeah.
they didn't bring it with them into the battle because they knew that they would be actively fighting.
Yeah.
Like I have like
Alondros
a fishing
does it.
line sticking
Yeah.
out the side. I've got like a bag with a bar of soap on the side.
A loot and like a pan
Yeah,
pipe
loot,
like
the
flanking
pan
next
pipe.
to it, you know. Like
Get a
he
little
has,
thermos.
yeah, no, he has
Like
everything.
pens and ink and like just
I love it.
Okay.
I love it so much.
So as you sit there, the bath steams. It is very refreshing. If you'd like to take a short rest, this will be the equivalent of a short rest. Just let me know if you expend any hit dice.
Yes.
Also, as we are doing the short rest, I'm going to tell you all a story. I'm not going to actually tell a story, but I sit and I rehearse a well-known poem for a short period of time, and you all can add a d6 to any or to your hit dice. Not each time, but you can add a d6.
So if you're injured,
If you
now would be
expend.
the time to
Yeah.
spend hit dice if you want to.
Real.
You actually recite the history of the Akroan War, which was not dissimilar to this small war, but it lasted much longer and it happened hundreds of years ago. Which it actually happened with Olantis before it sunk. The Olantian queen left her home to live with the Akroan king, which led to a war that actually occurred in the city of Akros. There was fighting in the city of Akros for over 100 years.
Okay, real quick. I just want to explain what hit dice are.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Absolutely.
I've actually never
So-
used hit dice before either.
So when you take a short rest, like a long rest, you restore all of your hit points.
Yep.
On a short rest, you will have a certain amount of hit dice that you can restore, and it's based on your character. Like I have 1d8 per rogue level. Paladins have 1d10.
D10 per level
So you have 3.
It's the
The
same
total,
number of
and
dice
it's
that you roll for.
1d10.
for your house.
So then,
yeah.
when you take a short rest, you can roll a d10 and expend
Oh yeah.
either 1 or 3, however many you want,
Yeah.
and that's
And add that
how
to
you
your
restore
HP.
it.
Cool. You also add your Constitution modifier.
Yes.
Oh.
And because
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
right.
think you
Yeah,
Free
so
ones.
you get So expend however many hit die you'd like. Just let me know what those
Right.
are.
Expended all of mine.
Okay.
And we get an extra 1d6.
Correct. Per
For
hit dice?
everyone?
No, just an
Just
extra
once.
1d6.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
it's good math.
The bath is very restorative. You guys are sitting, relaxing, enjoying Alondros reciting this epic and recounting the victories that happened at Akros. Unlike this battle, though, the Akroans were victorious, and finally the war ended with the people of Atlantis leaving the city of Akros. And you guys are in the bath for quite a long time. There's food available for you as well as you eat and relax. And as the sun begins to go down, you know it's about time to head back to the common area for the feast. And just then, you hear a cry come out. He's dead! He's dead! They brought his body back! The king of Akros is dead! And you hear a commotion outside.
Well, I guess that secludes our bath. We should hurry out.
Thank you for that story, by the way. That was
And for sharing quite so.
and the bar of soap.
Did
Bar of
not
soap.
share my soap.
Oh, voluntarily.
Not that you do, but anyways, we should go.
The soap is a little more used than
Got a little hair on it.
yeah, and it's not a
You pull out
satyr
a
hair.
ruler.
And
Like,
it's not it's not a satyr hair.
Yeah.
It's a blonde hair.
Yeah.
Who has blonde hair? I do.
But you said you did.
Oh, I had auburn hair.
It's an auburn hair.
As we get out,
It's actually a Triton fin.
a little scale.
You guys collect your things. You guys head down to the common area.
Yes.
I also spray myself with a little bit of perfume.
Yeah, what does it smell like? Lavender?
Yeah, it's a lavender and
I believe you changed your shirt as well.
yes.
Okay.
I'm wearing new clothes.
So they're clean.
They're clean.
You guys make your way down. And though there are still people wanting baths, a lot of people have left. And you see that there's a commotion down in the common area around the fountain. And as you press through the crowd, it is shoulder to shoulder, packed. And you see, breaking through the crowd, a small procession. Theseus, you would recognize the man they're bearing on the stretcher as King Anax. He is silver-haired with a long silver beard. His armor is gold, brilliant, with the symbol of Iroas in a vibrant crimson on his chest plate. His shield is laying across his legs, with his sword parallel to it. 2 horses on the side of the hilt with a falcon head at the bottom. A brilliant work of masterpiece. The king's sword you would know. Adelphos, you do not recognize the man they carry. You only recognize him by name. Because even though his spectator box was close to the arena, you were always too distracted or never got the chance to look up and see who was watching you. And then you see that they carry him into the tent of Acros. And some guards get posted on the outside. Just then you see some people mumbling, and you actually see a lot of the Acroan men begin to argue with one another. And they begin to split off into different groups. And you would know this, Theseus. There is no heir in Acros to the throne. And so it's kind of up in the air who would succeed him.
Is Faustus anywhere around? Can I see him anywhere?
You can do a perception check to see if he's there.
Yeah. 14.
You see Faustus is at the door of the Acros tent, speaking with one of the guards.
I don't know about you guys. I'd go find out what happened.
I would as well.
Did you know this man?
He's the king.
Important, and it's a big deal.
Yeah. Have I ever met him
I
before?
don't know anybody else in the city, so.
Have I met him before?
I've never been here.
I've met the
before.
king.
Yeah. If you have.
You all see me just talking to the kids. It's okay. Change is good for people.
A little kid tugs on your belt, looks up at you, dark-haired, green eyes, olive skin. Lady, I'm scared.
It's okay. Things are going to get better. Change is always good for things. This might have happened for a certain reason.
But what reason? What
Sometimes-
reason does fighting happen in my town?
Sometimes those things are harder to find the reason for.
Okay. You're very beautiful.
Thank you. So are you.
Where are you? You're from the sea? A trident?
Yes.
Oh, right? Is that their name? I've never met one before. Oh, Triton. Oh. Well, thanks. You see, skips away. You go up to Faustus?
Yeah.
Okay. You interrupt this conversation or what for to be done?
I would. As I walk up, does he notice that I'm walking over?
No,
towards
because
him?
his back's to you. You know, he's talking to this guard. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll go and I'll reach behind and put a hand on his shoulder to kind of.
he turns and he looks at you, and then he gives a nod to the guard. The guard nods back and he turns around. He says, "So, I see you've heard the news.
What happened?
No one knows. Him and his entire guard detail found dead.
No wounds?
Well, obviously wounds.
Just not to know who from.
No. Swords are not much different than others. A Meletian sword, Neolantis sword, an Acros sword, they all do the job, leave similar marks.
Where was he found?
You see, he looks at the guard. The guard looks nervous. And he said, I've been trying to figure that out, but this one won't tell me.
Old man probably decided to join the battle. Crazy kook. Not crazy kook, but
You see, Faustus says, Theseus, I know your situation, but still some respect for our late king.
I just nod my head in agreeance.
Might I have a word with this guard?
Faustus says, be my guest.
Great. Kind of crack my knuckles a little bit. Okay. Fix the shirt. Where's the guard? Is he like in a...
No, he's standing just right there.
Standing right
He's
there.
literally right there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
He watches this happen.
No, he is. He's literally watching this happen. And he is, this guard is very tall. He bears a shield with the Acroad symbol on it, and has a spear as well. But unlike most of the normal soldiers, he wears a cape and has a plume on his helmet, which indicates that he is of the Royal Guard.
Okay. Were you the man who found this? Who did this great deed for the people? Found this man? Whatever his name is. King Annex?
No.
Were you with the platoon that should be greatly honored for this service?
Well, I mean...
It was a great deed, was it not?
The guards, yes, the guards retrieved his body. I mean, the guards, we're the only ones allowed in the proximity. Wait a minute, what's happening here?
Oh, nothing. I'm congratulating you
Oh.
for your success.
Thank you. And he kind of stands up a little straighter and says, I am due for some congratulations now, aren't I?
Yes, you appear to be very weary. Have you been able to revel in the spoils?
Well, no, not yet. We split the treasure at the end, you know.
Oh, well, I'm sure that doing a great deed of finding the king will give you much coming to you, correct?
You think so?
I believe so. Why not?
Maybe even making rank.
Yes.
You see, he straightens even more and nods his head and says, yeah, rank.
Can I just, real quick, did Faustus, did he say where they think that the body was found?
Nope.
No?
He has
No.
no idea.
So
He
someone...
has no idea.
He has no idea. So essentially what happened was, it was reported, King never came back. It was reported.
It was just kind of reported.
It was reported that he was missing. The Royal Guard, those who weren't immediately with him, went to go look for him, found him.
Okay. So you and your platoon, you must have been stationed just right out of the city, am I not correct?
Oh, yes, the king, soon after the army went in, wanted to go in with a small troop of his own, perhaps see some action, mainly FaceTime with the troops as the battle ensued, to be there for the victory,
So not only were you the one who found the king, but you were on the front lines, it sounded.
Well, I wouldn't, he blushes a little bit. He's like, I wouldn't say the front lines, but he kind of looks around. He's completely oblivious to the fact that you guys took the city.
Yeah.
That you guys opened the gates. He looks around, he says, yeah, I clang my swords against a couple shields, if you know what I mean.
I would imagine so. A man of your stature would do well at the front of battle.
So what is it you want? What are you doing here?
We were here to... As you can see, I'm not a warrior of any kind. I'm here to take notes, and between you and me, I work for the local papers. The scrolls that go out to the people, and
Yes.
I need some information from people of high stature.
Of course. What information are you looking for?
Just personal stories, maybe. Where you were located, what you saw, what took place, things of that matter. You don't have to give anything specific, but just locations and sights that you saw, perhaps.
I want to go up and whisper into the guard's ear.
You see, he thinks about it for a moment. Roll a persuasion check.
He says,
Gladly.
Can that count as a help
Yeah,
action?
and roll with advantage because of what Lydius whispered.
It was a nat 20, which...
Why did you roll again? Double nat 20.
Nice.
Yes, I killed him actually.
30.
So that was a 28.
Level
You
3,
see-
by the way.
Level
Level
3.
3.
You see the guard says, well, I mean, I really shouldn't, but, and he leans in, well, the king went into the city, right? And he didn't come back after the city was taken, so we were really concerned. Me and the other guards, it was really my idea, I mean, it was me who was like, hey, let's go look for the king, and so we went and we looked for the king, we searched the city, and actually it was strange. We found him in a drainage system almost. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of pull out a piece of paper and I'm writing these things down, right?
Yes.
I'm just taking quick notes. That's very interesting. Was the drainage system maybe some tactical advantage, would you say?
Not that I know of. I had heard that the plan was to send small garrisons of troops through the drainage system this morning, but the king was not a part of them. There was no real reason he would have been around there. It was by the armory, actually, I think.
Interesting. The armory.
Can I do who took the army? Can I roll?
Do a history check.
Good call, Matt.
I would also like to say, kind of like under my breath, like I wouldn't exactly call us a garrison, but
18.
The Leonin were in charge of taking the armory.
Do it.
And he says, but we were able to fortunately retrieve his body and all of his troops.
Oh.
May Iroas bless them and Erebus take them. And Erebus, you know, is the god of death. May Athreos grant them voyage. Athreos is the boatman.
Sharon.
And he says, but you did, and he winks, hear it from me.
Oh, of course. I kind of give him a wink back. The people will love a good tale from a strong man such as yourself.
And you see, he props himself up and he says, I've already told you too much. I don't want to be discovered as the league, so move along. And you see another of the royal guard. It looks like he walks by and he says, yeah, move along, get out of here. There's nothing to see here. And then as you walk away, you hear him say, Rick. Faustus was there. He heard as well. He leans in and he says, wasn't it the Leonin who were in charge of taking the army?
Precisely.
Interesting.
Seems awfully suspicious, if you ask me.
And at that point, you guys begin to notice the crowds around you get rowdier and rowdier, almost to the point of fighting. And most of them are soldiers of Akros fighting amongst themselves. And you see, as people are trying to calm them down, the sun begins to set. The ground begins to shake more and more and more. And everybody roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Natural.
I got a 12. So a 4.
9.
I got a 4.
We are not doing good.
So, you feel as the ground begins to shake, people begin to fall over. You see, even in the city, some buildings begin to quake and some pillars begin to fall. The gold and the large mound of treasure shakes and its clinking sounds like thousands of gold pieces cascading like a waterfall. And you see the tents begin to fall and men begin to fall. And you guys see one of the large pillars upholding this gazebo around the fountain falls. And only you were able to roll out of the way, Theseus. You're able to notice and quickly roll out of the way. But you four, Adelphos, Alandros, Thalassa, and Vidius, will take... You actually didn't get injured at all because of your shield master. Because it's an area effect.
Oh!
And you pass, so you take no damage.
That's right.
So you roll away.
Does it give him like evasion?
Oh my gosh.
It does. So
That's
for
such a good
so
roll. That's
Shield
awesome.
Master is a feat Theseus took with area effects. If he fails his saving throw, he takes half damage. If he passes his saving throw, he takes no damage. Because essentially,
so
he's
good.
using the shield to interpose.
So, like,
directly in his
freaking
body.
lock it.
Invasion,
Yeah.
dude. That's
So he
so
rolls.
sick.
You're able to roll out of the way and hold your shield up as these pieces of large granite and white stone clatter to the earth. The rest of you take 16 damage. As this pillar lands, the whole entire pillar does not exactly land on you. It crumples into pieces and large rocks fall on you, but you are all knocked prone and injured.
I hurry and stand up and look around.
There were several people that were injured.
I'm gonna go help up the team.
Any fatalities?
No, fortunately nobody died, and you hear almost a hush over the group.
Can I roll perception for like a source of some kind? Or is it gonna be just...
It would be more of an insight check.
An insight?
Yeah. So actually,
Quaker, like,
those from Akros, you can roll insight checks with advantage.
14.
14 also.
Faustus helps you all up as well. And Theseus and Adelphos. Akros is prone to earthquakes. Akros is located near an active volcano. And this felt like an earthquake that you have felt in Akros before. They're a little more rare this far south on the coast, though. So you guys are a couple hundred miles away from Akros. Maybe like 100, 150 miles. But this, you could essentially tell this was an earthquake caused by a volcano. By the volcano by Akros.
It's getting worse.
And it's true, it has. In Akros, the earthquakes have gotten progressively more frequent and more powerful. Which legend has it is because the god of the forge, who is legend to live inside that volcano, is missing his hammer. And in his rage, he throws his anvil across his shop. And when it lands, causes an earthquake.
Is this like legend amongst people? Like people say like, oh, there's earthquakes because of, this, and they make this up? Or like, is this like an actual...
It's believed that in the past there have been accounts of heroes. There have been accounts of Perforus' hammer being stolen, and that earthquakes intensified, especially near Akros, but also could be felt as far as Setessa, which is on the other side of the continent. And that when that hammer was returned, the earthquakes ceased.
So it's not myth, it's more rumor.
Right.
Okay.
And so rumor has it, as of late, the last year or two, that Perforus' hammer is missing again because the earthquakes are getting worse.
Oh, okay.
And with that, Faustus helps you all up and he says, this does not bode well. Feast will be a feast of mourning. But nevertheless, you will still be honored. And he said, you will be honored by each of the leaders of the armies individually first. And then you will be presented in front of the entirety of the army, in front of the entirety of the council. So please, make yourself comfortable for now. And then he gestures to a very, very large tent, which is pure white, indiscriminate, which appears to be a meeting place. And he says, if you will make your way there soon.
Is gold okay?
he looks over his shoulder, and it's just the pile went from being tall to a little bit wider, because it shook it down, and he says, gold should be fine.
Spins exactly the same
And
as
he,
before.
and he rolls his eyes.
Yeah.
He knows your type. He rolls his eyes. You guys make your way to the tent.
Yeah.
So,
As you enter, it is very ornate inside. They brought in various furniture, mainly in the form of chairs. There are several chairs set around a center meeting place with Greek-style columns made of wood, painted white, holding up the tent itself in the middle. You see that Faustus gestures to you to stand in the center of the meeting area. And he says, this is where you will receive your honors by the leaders of the army. And afterwards, they will all come in, and we will open the walls of the tent and watch the army witness your ceremony. And he shoots a glance at you, Theseus. And he says, I think the first up is the Council of Neolantis. This was their campaign after all, wasn't it? And he goes out. He's gone for a minute or two, and he opens the tent door again. And in walk in 5 council members, 3 women and 2 men. And they are all north of 60 years old. They wear ornate, well-decorated togas and tunics, all in various different shades and styles of blue. And you see they argue amongst themselves as they come in. You can pick up a little bit before they stop out of courtesy to you, but you hear them arguing about the crown of Akros, 2 of them, a man and a woman. You hear 2 of the women arguing about the origin of the earthquake, and 1 council member comes in quietly, more observing the arguments.
Would I, or whoever is from would we recognize these people?
You would, yes. They are not celebrities, they are elected officials. Each represents primarily one of the schools of philosophy, so you would especially know yours. Not on a personal level, it's almost like the dean of a college, you know what I mean? Like, you know who they are. Yeah. And they're the ones that typically uphold law within Neolantis, and elections happen every couple of years. Some of them have been on there longer than others, but the man that came in quietly came in. He was just recently elected. And Faustus says, Council of Neolantis, I present to you the victors of the city, the ones who took the gates. Each one politely shakes your hand, says, thank you for your sacrifice and your fighting. And each one says the exact same thing. Thank you for your sacrifice and your fighting.
after they all pass, I'm going to kind of turn to everybody. Honestly, felt very just not personal, just generic, make an appearance.
And you see
work
they
on
begin they go and stand off to the side, waiting for everybody to collect, and they begin, again, squabbling amongst themselves. Like lawyers or politicians that are kind of at odds with each other do whenever they're in the same room. You can tell that these people, though they are the council and work together, have different ideas of how things should be run, and often argue about it.
I visibly am kind of sweating. Like, oh, I've never been speechless in my life.
Was that a big moment?
Take an inspiration, please. That was awesome. Faustus says, next is, I believe, Satessa. And you all watch as he welcomes in an individual of average height. They have dark hair about shoulder length, and they wear ornate leather armor, mostly deep greens and some browns. And they say, shaking your hand, "Hello, I was proud to hear that you took the gates so quickly. I'm sure it's saved many lives. I've lost many of my archers in the battles leading up to this one, attempting to take the walls from the outside. You don't understand how much it means to me. You were willing to sacrifice so much. And you know that Satessa doesn't have much of a ruler. They're very community-based and more free-spoken. This individual you recognize, though, as the head of the army of Satessa. Gotcha. And so they are more representing the military than they are representing exactly the Satessa people.
You're very welcome.
Small price to pay for victory.
For victory. And they kind of chuckle with that, recognizing your armor. It says, of course, and a Crowan would say, for victory. And then they say, oh, the day is yours. And they walk by. And then you see Theseus says, unfortunately, the king of Akros has passed. Although...
Faustus?
Yeah, Faustus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he said to me. I thought he said...
To Theseus.
Okay.
Well, he says to all of you, he says, the king of Akros is obviously passed. Fortunately, though, the captain of his royal guard always accompanies the king if he travels abroad, so he is here as well. He shoots a look at Theseus. And then he walks out, and you can hear as he comes in an older gentleman saying to Faustus, the boys tell me that it was a couple of Akroan men that took the gates. Well, I couldn't be prouder, and from your unit, nonetheless. I'm so excited to meet these men. I'm so excited to meet this group. This will be fantastic. And as he walks in, he looks immediately at you, Theseus. He says, oh, it was these men that took the gates. And he looks at you, Adelphos, and he says, if it is not Adelphos the Great. And he goes and he shakes your hand and he gives you a very firm handshake.
I scoff and roll my eyes as I see him go up to Adelphos.
And he says, from rags and rabble to now a victor. Riches. Who knew a slave could come so far? I'm so glad that this fight won you your freedom. And he looks at Faustus and he says, is that not right? Does he not win his freedom? Faustus shakes his head, yes. And he says, oh, if only I had a son like you. You are strong and brave, and I watched you in the games a couple times. You are fantastic. I love you. You are quite the beast slayer. I believe I watched you kill an owlbear with nothing but your bare hand, your trident, and a sword, of course. But still, it's impressive. An owlbear, just you. You bring honor to all Akroans, regardless of their class and station, slave or free man.
Thank you, sir.
If you ever need a place to stay, food, clothing, anything, you let me know. I'm your man. Victory. Victory to Iroas. Victory to Akros. And he just kind of ignores everybody else.
Is there any drink around?
There would be wine and stuff, yeah. There's obviously food there for you guys to eat.
As he has this conversation with Adelphos, I just leave for a sec to wander around the tent and just find some wine somewhere and just drink.
And just sip on it?
Yes.
I continued to talk to the captain, and I was like...
Proteus. Proteus Rhododendron is my name.
It's good to meet you, Proteus. Yeah, I believe my mother talked about you.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes. She unfortunately passed away when I was a child.
That is unfortunate. Now, I don't always agree with the politics of our city and some policies that they have, but turns out good stock, doesn't it?
Sometimes.
I mean, you had to fight to survive, and look at you now. Victor of a city. Any slave boy could rise to that. And you see that this man is very well dressed. He wears armor, but you can tell it has not been used very frequently. It is pristine in its condition. And he does not bear the symbol of Akros on his armor. He bears a black rose, which, for Adelphos and Theseus, you know that if you are prominent enough in a family in Akros, you earn your own symbols that you can use. And that even a lot of the, if you're not a part of just the regular Crone army, but you fight for a house or you fight for a lord, you will bear that symbol. So even you guys notice that there were troops in the Crone army that bore this black rose on their armor as well, which you can deduce means that they fought for this man, and not necessarily the guard.
Gotcha.
And he says, well, Adelphos, hopefully one day you might even join the games as a free man and win the gold. And he shoots a look at Theseus and he says, wouldn't that be something? And congrats to all. And he walks away. And he goes to kind of break up the argument of the Meletians and sort of shred his stuff around.
What a lovely chap.
Yeah, I don't like him. He's everybody else, he's at the bottom of the totem pole so far.
I like him a lot now.
So, next come in leaders of the Centaur group.
Actually, before that happens,
yes.
Can I make a comment that is to our group that is just barely loud enough to where maybe he could overhear me?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say, it must be nice to talk of victory and have such unblemished armor.
You see out of the corner of your eye, as he's sipping some drink, he kind of freezes. You know that he heard it, and then he keeps drinking. Next are centaurs who greet you warmly. Satyrs. There's not really a leader of the satyrs, but you would know this, and they kind of gawk at how you were dressed. Alondros. And finally, you see strolling in at the very last, Apto, the Leonin speaker. You see he has changed out of his armor, and he now wears elegant jewelry with a robe-like garment around his waist. He is bare-chested, very muscular. And you see actually his wrists and hands and even ears are adorned with jewelry as well, some of which you recognize or taken from the temple. He says, well, if it isn't my favorite group, good to see you again. Told you, you would be honored as the heroes here. My congratulations to you. Truly, it is you who took the city, and you who will be remembered as the ones who were responsible for its fall. So congrats. Anything you need from me, or the Leonin, you let me know. We remember those who help their own.
Can I roll insight on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
See the underlying. See if he's insinuating anything
With
at all.
advantage still, right?
11.
You can tell he's being a little pretentious.
Yeah.
But you can't really tell what he's getting at.
Mm-hmm.
A gift for you, as I hand out a note to him. Read it when you're alone.
He actually says, I would choose to read it now if it's all the same to you. And he crumples it up and he says, I knew I would like you. Enjoy the feast. Then music begins to play and people begin to enjoy the feast.
Does he leave?
He doesn't. He stays there with all the other ones. And as the feast happens, time passes and food is eaten and drink is drunk. And then you see that an announcement is given and the curtains begin to rise around the around the tent, which then reveals all the feasting and revelry that goes on around you, of everybody there celebrating. And eventually, attention is being called, and you see all the leaders sit in their chairs around the center where you five are at. And Faustus gets up, and he begins to announce. We all know what happened here, and as he begins, you see he's interrupted by Apto. And Apto says, please, Faustus, give me the opportunity. These five represent more than just the taking of a city. These 5 represent the bringing together of the entire world. Never in Theros history have we all come together for a common cause. Not even when the Kraken attacked Neolantis. He gestures to the Milesians. Not even when Nylia threatened to destroy Setessa. Not even when Akros was so ravaged by Neolantis before their destruction have we come together. But here we are. Peoples of a world ready to stand against anything and anyone who may oppose us. Let it be a show to the gods that we are more powerful than they know. For is it not our belief in the gods that give them their strength? You see and hear some mumbling going on in the crowds. He raises his paw. He says, "Now, I do not want to get too political with you tonight, but I do want to honor these 5 as heroes of Theros." And he motions, and you see 5 laurels being brought out on pillows. They are green with gold accents, green leaves. And you see he picks them up, and he says, "With these laurels, the city is yours as the victors. And you will now and forever be known as ones who can be trusted in times of hardship, to stand up and be heroes to all who know you." And he places one on Theseus' head, and he says, "And with these laurels, you will be blessed by those gods you worship." He places one on Adelphos' head, and continue until all 5 are met. "The heroes, the victorious 5!" And everybody erupts in applause. And you see the lone Milesian council member, the one who was silent for most of the time, raises his hand to interrupt. He says, "It's true that we have all come together. It is not also true that as easily as friendships are made, they can be broken. There is no heir for Akros. We are unsure who will sit in the seat of power there. We've deliberated as a council and want to break this treaty, disbanding the armies." And you see the individual from Setessa jumps to their feet. "How could you do that?" And arguing begins to ensue. And you see people accusing other people of treachery. You see people accusing others of essentially foul play, the reason why this war happened. And finally, they are hushed again. You even hear someone accuse Apto and his men of committing treason here, being warmongers. Then you see Apto roars a mighty roar, and everyone is hushed. And he says, "The balance of power is shifting, but we all know that there is an heir to Akros." And you see some of the older people in the audience begin to shake their heads in remembrance. "Did not the king have a daughter who 40 years ago set sail to the sea to find her destiny and never came back?" They all agreed. "We all thought that she might have been lost to the sirens, or sailed off the edge of the ocean, or even found her way to the underworld itself. But I propose our newfound heroes can go and bring her back, stabilizing the power in Akros." And he nods at the Milesian leader. "And therefore," he looks at Proteus, the leader of the royal guard, "therefore, eliminating the possibilities of in-squabbling between families," he looks at Setessa, "while still upholding that treaty. But of course, we are all gathered here together, and it is not my choice alone. What say you?" And you see the individual from Setessa thinks only for a moment, and then stands and says, "It is agreed." You see the Milesian council gather together, discuss for a moment. They nod their head and said, "Agreed." The centaurs stomp their hooves and nod in agreement. The satyrs don't care. In fact, one satyr goes to the front, a little drunk, and says, "Sure, Why not? Stay, go, who cares? And he kind of laughs, and all the sailors around him laugh, and they continue to eat and drink. And Apto finally says, then it is decided. Our heroes will journey into the sea in search for the heir of Theros, Apollonia, and hope she is well enough to return. And he turns to you, Five, and says, is that alright with you? He squints his eyes at you, Vidius, and says, it will take you away from the dealings of the main continent for a while, but it is for the best, is it not?
Tempting to send us to our deaths again.
He laughs and he puts a large paw on your shoulder and he says, to your glory, because was it not that same mission that sent you to the gates and made you victors? And everyone kind of, yes, they all agreed.
Yes, how gracious.
Wonderful. You have a ship, do you not? No? Well, that's besides the matter.
Yeah,
You will get
I don't.
enough treasure tonight that you may be fitted with that ship. And I'm sure our Meletian friends will be able to give you a good deal.
Our friend Proteus over there, he seems like he has lots of money. Maybe he would be willing to, share in his wealth and, seeing how grateful he was of the victorious Five, that he would lend us something such.
Proteus stands and he says, though I do not think it is the right choice to find the certainly dead heir to a vacant throne, I see no reason why we shouldn't send these to the uncertainties of the oceans. As far as financing go, our heroes will receive much money by way of their reward tonight. But what hero earns their glory through gifts? They must test themselves. I'm sure they can find their own way. Besides, he looks at you, Theseus, it always makes the experience a little better when you have to work for what you have. Does it not? I say, let them worry about the ship on their own. They can name it themselves, command it how they will, and if they bring it back, it will be the stuff of legend.
If we don't,
then you will be hopefully remembered as those who did set out to bring back Apollonia. What say the council? And everyone agrees.
I kind of lean in to Theseus and say, that guy's a piece of work.
You have no idea.
And he says,
Can we deliberate?
Apto says, I suppose, but he looks at the crowd. What a shame it would be if the heroes of Theros decided not to be heroic. But please deliberate.
What is in this for us?
Glory? I don't like how such of a proud person he is, how much he's been willing to give us the glory for this victory. It's
Definitely
suspicious.
has ulterior motives.
what was that letter you wrote?
I wrote a letter that said that corruption recognizes corruption. You see, just to see how he would respond. And obviously, fancied him very much. It was merely a test, and his answer gave me
The answer.
more information than he probably would have given up otherwise.
I was assuming that you were siding with him and was thinking about letting Theseus kill you, so it's good to find out that...
Yeah, no, I was absolutely going to tell you all. But, no, I mean... What do you
Vidius
think?
would never.
What do you think?
Oh,
Vasa?
I don't know.
well, should we sail to the ends of the earth?
I don't believe we have a choice.
I don't feel like we do.
So we leave soon.
Would Proteus be like a shoe-in for like the next man up?
Yeah, I mean, he's one. There are a handful, maybe a dozen of prominent families in Akros. And though you would know this, Theseus, the rhododendron family is sort of a newish family to the Akros elite. They haven't been in for many generations. Because some of these people have been in as long as the Akron War, which was centuries ago, you know? But despite his family being quote unquote new money, he was well liked by the king. He's wonderfully well liked by the Akroans. And it doesn't hurt that the fact that he was a victor, which means every I think 4 years they hold a, as the Iroan Games in Akros themselves, and whoever is the victor is the Shivs. And Proteus, back in his day, was a victor. So he's got celebrity as well as connections.
Yeah,
And money. The party lasts, and it begins to get a bit somber because you see on the beach the glow of the pyres being lit of the many soldiers on both sides who passed away. Typically in Theros, the traditions are if you are wealthy, you will be entombed in a grand tomb. Everybody else pretty much gets burned. And as tradition dictates, all wear decorative masks to preserve their identity in the afterlife. Now as the party begins to wind down, you see the individual from Satessa approach and say, "Now, I'm from the woods. I know not much about sailing. However, I do know ships can be expensive. Though it was agreed we cannot finance you outright, if you are looking for some extra gold, I may have a job for you." They say, "We come across many beasts in the woods. Nylia enjoys her varied animal structure. There appears to be a beast that has taken residence not far outside of Satessa that proves difficult to track and nearly impossible to kill. In fact, we have not located it yet. And it has gone from killing wild game to support its hunger to killing stragglers or wanderers. And unfortunately, due to the nature of our city, sometimes children. Satessa, is a place where children are considered, quote-unquote, the leaders, in the sense that if you're a child in Satessa, you are allowed to walk free. You can literally go anywhere. Nobody will stop you. Children are everything in Satessa. And it's mainly run by women, but there are a few men that do stick around. And they say, so, if you're interested, you can find me at the Summer Nexus, which is a watchtower near Satessa.
What was your name?
My name is Fella.
Thank you. We will see you shortly, hopefully.
They nod. As the partying continues, you see members of the Milesian Council come over. And they say, so, as Proteus so lovingly pointed out, we cannot fund you directly, though we are very grateful for your participation here in taking Neolantis. If you're looking for some extra money to help fund your journey, there's been a bit of a problem on the outskirts of Neolantis. There appear to have been a party of returned that has left the lands of Asphodel, and they are attacking travelers to the north of Neolantis. If you could look into that and possibly stop them, there could be some coin involved. And you all would know that the returned are a race of semi-alive people. They are those who have broken the bonds of death and come back from the underworld. Separated from their souls, they wander as nearly lifeless husks with limited emotional capacity and fractions of memories of their previous lives. Most of them are harmless, but there is sort of a cult of returned who have sworn to kill all living. And that you don't know if this is a group of that cult or not.
What is your name?
Yes, you see it's a woman on the council of Neolantis. She is short with dark gray, long, large curly hair. And she says, "I thank you for asking. My name is Hypatia."
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Congrats again. The city is yours.
Well,
it appears that we've got some people looking for some work.
yes.
And then you hear Faustus run up, excited. He says, "With the death of the king and the postponement of the Iroan Games because of the war, the Iroan Games are set to be held next month. Now, they do have individual matches, but you can join as a group Depending on how far you get, you can receive a lot of money. Perhaps that may help you on your journey. And how exciting, going to find Apollonia? Oh, if only I could join you. He looks at you, Theseus, and he says, perhaps this will be the quest you need to make it back. And he looks to all of you and he says, I hope to see you in Akros in a month. But if not, know that my prayers go to Iroas for your safety and for your victory. That you will bring home the true heir, that hopefully we may avoid a civil war. And then finally, you see a beautiful woman come into the tent and greet Proteus. You see by the way he kisses her and greets her that it is his significant other. They talk for a moment. He gestures angrily in your group's direction, and you see she walks over. Beautiful and elegant, she holds herself with great poise. She has dark hair that she pulls back behind her ears except for one long curled piece to the left of her face. She has beautiful eyes and a soft voice. She says, I would like to apologize for my husband, Proteus. He can be a bit much at times. I've heard of what you all did. I want to thank you. No doubt you saved lives, despite what taking the city might have meant. And then she looks at Theseus. She says, Theseus, and she puts her hand softly on your face. You look good. Well, best of luck on your adventure. And may all the gods, whomever you may worship, she looks at each one of you, bless you in their own capacity. And she walks away.
Well, she was a little older, but I believe she might be into you.
Yes, very similar thing. Is that why Proteus does not like you?
We're gonna put a pin in that one.
Okay, we'll put a pin in that. We'll
What
talk
is
about
your
that later.
relation? How do you...
Pin? We're
Yeah.
pinning it.
Pin, just put a pin in it.
And then you see with that, someone yells, and now to divide the treasure! And everybody cheers in excitement.
Run
So-
over that direction.
Everybody gathers around. Oh,
Can you let me know whenever Proteus leaves the tent?
Proteus is long to leave the tent and he lingers.
He lingers, okay.
He will be one of the last ones to go over to the treasure. If you'd like to catch him, you can.
I would like to...
Okay.
But he'll still be in the tent in front of everyone?
No.
Oh.
Like, everyone's leaving the tent. He's kind of there by himself,
Oh, okay.
finishing his food, and then he leaves after everybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nobody's around.
Well, in that case, I'm gonna go up to Proteus.
Okay?
I approach him, and I say, I would like to tell you one thing, and one thing alone, old man. Is that, if I were you, I would be wary of the power that I now possess.
You see, he looks at you, emotionless, not giving any hint to what he may be thinking. And he says, maybe you will find some glory on this adventure. Or you will die. Both are better than you staying. And he finishes his drink. And he says, idle threats from young men do nothing to old men who have experienced the world. Remember that next time you try and upstage me in front of everyone.
As he says that, I would like to cast command on him.
Okay. Does he have to roll a saving throw, I believe?
Oh yeah, I guess he would have to, huh?
Okay. What's your DC save?
It is 11.
Okay. What was the command you want to issue?
Grovel.
You see, as he leaves, he stops, and he turns, and he smirks. And he said, you'll have to try harder than that.
Son of a gun!
And then he walks away. Okay, everybody get your dice out. Okay, everybody roll me a D100. We'll start this way and go around. Connor, what'd you get?
89.
That is good. You get 5 25 gold piece worth of art objects. Candelabras, statues. And these are essentially things you kind of like are awarded or pick out yourself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now roll me the percentile die again.
66.
66. You get
A little brown
A
leather
shit-
case.
With
Deck
some
of
cards.
adamantine armor.
Oh my gosh!
Now roll your
There
percentile
go
again.
those crits.
Again?
Yeah.
40.
You get a hat of disguise.
Oh
That's
my gosh, that's
awesome.
so perfect.
What's that look like?
So Matt,
92.
you got 92.
Ah.
Whoa! Okay, so you get 2 25 gold pieces each of art objects. Now we'll roll your percentile one more time.
35.
35. You get a cloak of elven kind.
Oh.
Sweet.
Fair enough.
Okay, back to you. Write that down somewhere, Matt.
84.
Okay, you rolled an 84. Okay, so you get 7 gems, each worth 50 gold pieces. Okay, roll me your percentile again. You get a longsword, a +1 longsword. Tyson?
I also got 84.
Okay, you get 8 gems worth 50 gold pieces each. Roll me a percentile.
That would be a 15.
You get a +1 scimitar. Roll again.
42.
You get a javelin of lightning.
Oh.
Which you may not be able to wield, but there are people in your party who will.
Yeah. I'm sure there might be some trading going on.
Roll again on the percentile.
It's a 61.
You get
Worst thing of-
a wand of the war mage.
So one more?
One more time. Again, there might be selling and trading going on.
Yeah.
Oh, they're definitely.
That's a 7.
Another +1 weapon. I will say a longsword. Zane, roll me D100.
52.
Fine.
A little bit higher up on the
We're all
line.
getting all these magical items. You're like, no,
Roll
really, I'm
2d4.
good. I'm good.
I don't want them.
Okay, you get 7 art objects, each worth 25 gold. Now roll me D100.
64.
64. You get a spell scroll 3rd level. Roll the percentile again.
93.
You get mithril armor.
Whoa! A 78.
78. You get dust of sneezing and choking.
Ooh. That's fun.
What is
That's a great one.
Now roll me one more time.
47.
You get a bag of holding.
Yes!
You, after all of these gifts are rewarded and the treasure is split, of course, the majority of the biggest treasure and best magic items go to the leaders of the army, but you get a lot. You now have some time to talk amongst yourselves before the night closes.
Well, does anybody have any? I don't think we should set right off.
What is Cloak of
I don't think that
Elven?
can really happen. We need to get a boat if we're eventually going to. What was her name?
Apollonia.
Apollonia.
So, with the money that you've acquired now, you will not be able to buy a boat worthy of the sea.
Okay, that's what I
But
thought.
depending on how you spend your money, if you spend it, you could accomplish acquiring a boat after only one quest. But if you spend your money to get other cool things, you might have to go on a second or third quest.
Okay.
That's where you guys stand. And essentially, I was incentivizing you guys to do the quest and get out earlier by giving you great magic items. But if you'd like to spend more money on more stuff, you can. But you are heroes of the realm, so you do get cool stuff.
I'd like to set sail as soon as we can.
So we have the beast outside of Neolantis.
Setessa.
Setessa. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong name. And then the returned attacking travelers.
Outside of this.
And
Yeah, Rowan Games.
Yeah, Rowan Games.
Which isn't a month.
by the time each quest will take... So the Rowan Games will be the longest before you can set out. It would also be potentially the most money. Setessa is a bit of a ways away. it would take you a little bit longer to do that quest. And not much is known of the Cetessan wealth, so you're not sure quite how much you might get. The Melitus quest is definitely closer. However, they are sometimes cheap in their rewards.
Of course, you'd want us to give it the games.
No, I'm just saying.
Price versus...
You will regardless, if you don't spend any of your gold and just do the Meletian campaign, you will have enough for your ship. So it's just depending on you guys and what you guys want as a group is really what it comes down to. And I'm not going to say the difficulty between any of those.
What's the difficulty?
I'm not saying the difficulty between any of those.
For me, personally, I don't find myself really needing and or wanting to be a part of any games for sport, but the return sounds very interesting, and the beast, I'm always down to study and find new creatures.
Oh yes, I love animals.
I want a good challenge against a creature.
My taste for the games have been spoiled, so let's do something else.
Shall we go with Cetessa then?
The beast, then.
What say you, Noah?
I'm fine with either of them. The games and being in the limelight's not really my cup of tea.
As someone comes over and clinks your glass of wine and says, "Oh, congrats, the city's yours!" And he stumbles away.
Sure.
I despise all this attention.
The beast, then.
Alright, as you decide the location of your next travels, it is well into midnight, and the beautiful starry sky shows wonderful colors as you can peer almost seemingly into Nyx itself. Fires are burning the city that people dance around, satyrs playing songs, centaurs racing each other through the streets for sport. You see arm wrestling matches and other celebrations going on between the armies, while the pyres of those who were dead smolder on the outskirts of the city. And as you sit and contemplate your journey, you guys notice on the other side of a large bonfire celebrating ground, the eyes of a large Leonin, Apto, staring unblinkingly at you. And as you all turn to meet his gaze, he smirks and raises his glass. And that's where we're going to end our session.
Hey, do you love everything PG-DND? Be sure to subscribe to our TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for consistent updates. We're also on Patreon.com for only $2 a month. You can also get loads of exclusive content, including our after show. Thanks as always, and we'll catch you next week on PG-DND.